Please welcome Golden Globe nominee Elsie Fisher and writer-director Burnham. That rings pretty nicely. Golden Globe nominee, Best Actress.
It really does.
Bo, I'll start with you. I've seen this film 3 times, and every time I see it, you've created such a specific world about this 8th grader, but I can't help to feel that it just speaks to what we're going through life today, that we feel so supposedly connected and overstimulated, and yet we're so alone and disconnected in this crazy world today.
Yeah, I mean, it's great you're saying that. I mean, that was my interest in the film. I had no interest in, when I set out to write, I wasn't interested in kids or being 13 or my own 8th grade experience. I mean, really, I was just trying to describe how it felt to be alive right now to me, in the current culture. And I feel like, America's maybe going through a bit of an 8th grade moment. Like we're not really sure what we're doing, and the sort of body of our culture is exploding, and we're sweating, and our voice is cracking. So yeah, I mean, if I was sort of being honest about how I felt about the current moment, I was going, I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm very confused. I can't really grasp any of it. So a good place to explore that confusion is with this time. Yeah.
And you chose, your point of view is there's no nostalgia. This doesn't feel like a memory. We're in the moment with Kayla. Can you tell us about why you chose that approach?
Yeah, I mean, it was one because I wanted to make a story about young people that wasn't nostalgic. It being a girl helped me with that. I couldn't project my own experience onto her. I couldn't project my past experience onto her. I was never a 13-year-old girl, and I was never 13 in 2018, which both lend themselves to, I think, specific experiences that are unknowable to anyone that isn't actually experiencing it. So yeah, and I just believe that the way, and I like movies that are nostalgic. I like movies about childhood that feel like exploration of the director or the writer's past, but I wanted to try to do something different. And I think what it means to be a kid is different than what it means to remember to be a kid. I think our memories select certain things. They tend to remember the moments comparatively and go, oh my gosh, well, I would love to be in 8th grade. I mean, I would love to not pay taxes or rent or have a mortgage or anything, and it's like, yeah, but what about but it's like you were just as anxious back then, if not more, and you had nothing to tether it to. You had no money or freedom. The only freedom in your day was the 30-second walk between your dad's car and someone else's house. So that was the approach for the whole film, was just to try to defer to the truth of the kids and tell the kids to you tell us what it means to be you, because we don't know.
Elsie, remarkable performance. One of the things that struck me is how physical you express Kayla. We always know how she's reacting to the environment by your physicality. Can you tell us about how you approached, being in the shoes of Kayla?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was just being an anxious 8th grader myself at the time. So it was, I don't know, I mean, it was very intuitive for me. And I don't know, I never tried to logically think about Kayla's character very much. It was more just diving into who she was and what really felt right for the scene, and kind of collaborating with Bo a lot on that. But yeah, I mean, the physicality is very much also, just how I would hold myself in those situations. Like her little arm thing was something I used to do all the time, so.
And for all the crew on set, I mean, when that pool party was happening, all of our shoulders went up. I mean, we were all, it's like, if you can make the environment real enough, it's hard not to react to it.
Speaking of the pool party, you make something that is so normal, and we've all attended, is like we're in a sci-fi movie. It's this pool party becomes like we're alien. It's an alien environment. Can you tell us about your take and the way you brought us in?
Yeah, that was the hope for a lot of the movie, was when we talked to the crew and stuff, my DP, like our influences, you know, the movies we were pulling from, we were trying to be like Saving Private Ryan, you know what I mean, like that. You know what I mean, like her waiting in the bus before she's going to high school should feel like the U-boat, you know, pulling up to the Normandy beach or whatever. Like, so that, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it was going like, it's the thing of trying not to be nostalgic, which, okay, you nostalgically look back at pool parties and you go, okay, pool parties are this cultural institution that we all go through and we've all been, and they're normal to us. But if you experience it as she does, which is for the first time, and is sort of like an alien would experience it, like, you see it for what it is in the surface when you don't know it as a cultural institution, which it is like a hole in the ground filled with water where a bunch of kids that are pubescent are barely clothed. Like, what is happening? I mean, like, if you actually just try to look at it with fresh eyes, it is such a surreal environment. It is such a strange, weird thing. So, and part of the movie in general was like, I went into the movie thinking it was going to just be like very just verite and very sort of documentary style. And then, you know, as we got closer to production, I realized for some of those moments, like the pool party and things, in order to really serve her subjective experience, it had to heighten a little bit because just capturing the reality wouldn't kind of capture how she was feeling, which is like surreal. I think it's those moments are, and anxiety feels like that. Anxiety really is often grafts itself onto very, very mundane situations and makes them incredibly high stakes. And so that was the hope for the movie, is to go like, can you take a normal day in the life of an 8th grader, which really is nothing really happens, and make it feel to the audience as it feels to her, which is incredibly, incredibly intense, without inflating the plot to, because that's what sometimes happens with young people's story, which I understand. Like, people think like Harry Potter is like escapism for kids. I don't think it is. I think it is like, it feels literal to them. Like walking across the hall and talking to your crush feels like going to slay a dragon. So like those fantasy stories serve their subjective experience on a very literal level. So I was trying to go like, how can we make their real experience feel as sort of fantastic as it feels to them as they experience it?
Elsie, I read that you only read the script once, and that every day you were handed the script by this man over here, pages of the script. You know, can you tell us about working on that, and how did that process helped or?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier, was like, it was just kind of not being over, I don't know, just not like trying to analyze the script too much. And I mean, I read it in its entirety basically right after I got the job. And then, I would read the lines every day. But I think it really worked to my advantage because I would memorize them and then forget them in between then and the scene, and then remember them as I was doing the scene. So it felt like I was speaking those words. And it was a very interesting experience, but it worked, so nice.
But I mean, but did you have an understanding of the arc of the journey of her, or since he was just giving you the scenes per day, it was just playing the specific moments?
Yeah, it was very much a moment-to-moment experience, I think, because if you look at Kayla's story as it is presented on screen, and you really look at the narrative, it kind of, I don't know, it's still an amazing story, but it loses that very like, I don't know, not realistic, but when I was doing it, if I had done that, I would have been focused on like, oh, this connects to that, and that connects to that, blah, blah, blah. But it is kind of a series of events captured in Kayla's life that, I don't know, she would just be going through normally.
It's my job to look after that stuff, I felt like for her, and I don't think, Kayla doesn't know what's going to happen next. So, I mean, you had a general idea of it, but I feel like it's my job to
nothing
look
came
over
out
her.
of the blue, but like, yeah.
Bo, I'm gonna get geeky here. You choose white lenses following Kayla, and then, can you tell us? I mean, what I love is that it makes the ceilings longer, and it makes the hallways seem just like forever. Can you tell us about your approach to
Yeah, great question, nerd. No. No. Yeah. I mean, like...
You're making me anxious.
it's the right place to do it. But yeah, no, truly. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't really get asked that. Like, there was definitely like a little bit of an idea of like specifically playing against the flatness of the screens, you know, that like, for the geeky answers, that like, there's sort of long lenses and wide lenses, telephoto lenses, and these, and the who really cares? But wider lenses, I mean, longer lenses flatten an image, and wider lenses, like you said, sort of exaggerate the depth of it. And there was a few reasons, which is one, so that we feel a real difference between the screens and the real world, which is the z-axis, which is that you then open up the actual depth of the world. But then also, like you said, like it kind of. We didn't want it to feel like, we didn't want to shoot her small. We wanted to shoot her normal and make the world larger. So it felt like those wide lenses just make everything feel 20% bigger, which is sort of how it feels for a kid. You know, it feels like the ceilings literally are a little bit high. I mean, I'm 6'6", you know, so, and I've been all of your heights, you know, at one point in your life.
And you'll be eventually all of our heights.
Yeah, exactly, I'm sure. But yeah, so that, and it was also like, a big part of it was wanting to follow her. You know, we didn't want to be on a long lens looking at her from far away, but a wide lens close to her and feeling her moving through the world. It was also like an influence for me was like VR, like virtual reality. I sort of got into and that immersive feeling of like, yeah, the wrestler. That's another one. I mean, but yeah, I just like that look.
Oh,
and that sort of look of like you know what I mean? It's like the Revenant and all that stuff. Like, I just never seen it with a kid. I'd never seen a wide lens close to a kid following them.
And we're like attached to her hip. We're seeing the world the way, you know.
Yeah, and that's sort of the long lenses of the movie. That's sort of where the long lenses only sort of are happening, or when she's looking across her room, or and there's that shot of the pool party is sort of blending the both with that zoom out.
Although, you know, talk to us because it relates to it, the fact that the way you handle the internet, we don't see the text like little blurbs that pop up. Instead, it's live, and we see, you know, Kayla actually reading the text, and it's happening real life. You know, why did you choose to do that, and how difficult was it to shoot? Because you're actually, when she gets a text, we actually see it live, right?
Yeah, totally, and like, great question, great questions. I'm saying you're I'm like this, all the stuff I like. Yeah, anyway, like, yeah, I hate when texts pop up, blue, you know what I mean, blue, like, or like they're superimposed on stuff, because it feels just like, why is the movie a computer now? I don't understand that. And it's like, it's important what it's on. Like, there's meaning on the fact that it is behind glass in your hand in a certain, like, there's actual, and like, the problem is people find, I think, phones and things very uncinematic or whatever, but like Barry Lyndon writing a letter by candlelight is so cinematic, but a girl on her phone in her bed, which is like literally the candle and the letter have fused into one thing, is like really beautiful and deep to me and meaningful. And also, like, it is a scene partner for her. And the look on your face when you are staring at the internet is not the look on your face when you're staring at a green replacement screen that you're going to put something out. There are micro movements in your eyes vibrate. You can actually see this information of the screen reflected in her eye, and the blankness you have in your face when you're looking at your phone is unlike anything else to me. It's like when every color mixes together and makes white. You know, that's sort of how I think of it. So, yeah. And then there was also like the blending of I wanted to make some, because like her browsing the internet, I wanted to feel tactile and real and recognizable, not like we go through the glass of the computer and now we're in the internet. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I want it to be like, because when I'm on the internet, part of it is like it's this thing on your lap. You know what I mean? And it's like the battery's hot and you're feeling it on your thighs and it's bright and you're squinting and like. The actual material of the thing is important and significant to me.
But how, and Elsie, maybe you can chime in, how did you guys achieve the fact that, was there somebody like texting stuff to you? And how did you guys achieve that?
Yeah, it was all practical. It was actually done like through Instagram.
They had to make 100 fake accounts, you know what I mean? Like all of our followers.
Reset the time on the phone. It was a lot of fun work. But no, I mean, I had to text the stuff, and I really appreciated it, actually, because I don't know, it was very much my scene partner, and especially in the scenes when I'm scrolling through Instagram, I really forgot I was in a movie then. Because, I mean, it sounds so much, like an addict for me to say that, because I am a phone addict, everyone is, but I really did forget because it's like so entrancing, and capturing that on screen is pretty great. So,
how much the clothing that Kayla wears are very specific and tell us so much about Kayla's personality, not your personality. Can you tell us about the costumes, and did you have involvement in building your look, and how did it help you develop your character?
Yeah, with Kayla, with our stylist Mitchell Travers, name drop. But no, we did a couple fittings for it, and it was very cool because I did have a lot of like free reign on kind of what she wore, and I don't know. I mean, it was kind of about picking outfits that didn't match and that felt wrong and didn't fit correctly, because that's what real kids wear in 8th grade. And it was an interesting experience to kind of shape your taste to like those kinds of things more within the fittings. I wouldn't dress like that, but I did have a lot of control over it, and it just felt right for a character. I don't know if I could do Kayla as well, physically, if I was wearing some styled outfit that fit me perfectly. But like when I'm wearing like jeans that come a little too low for my liking, and like a little tight of a shirt, and the colors and the sneakers are tiny, it works.
It's the thing, like a lot of the departments had to just keep an eye on the whole time, which is like resisting the urge to deploy your expertise in a way that isn't deployed by the kids themselves. Like a fitting had to be a non-fitting because kids don't know how to fit their clothes. Like an issue for me a lot of times in like young people's bedrooms, they feel perfectly representative of that young person, as if, because they probably were, it was a blank room and you just tried to reflect this 14-year-old character in a room, which is not what a 13-year-old's room is. A 13-year-old's room is an 8-year-old's room with a 9-year-old's room on top of it, with a 10-year-old's room on top of it, with a bunch of random shit in there too. It's like, it's very sedimentary or whatever. It's like it is random. I just like, you know what I mean? There's just random stuff in your room, and like glow in the dark stickers you put up when you were 11, then you thought they were bad, so you tried to scratch them off, and you got tired halfway through and stuff. So, and Sam Lysenko, our production designer, did a great job of that. But it's like, that was the whole process of the movie, and even the writing. How do you write people that can't speak? How do you dress people that can't dress themselves? How do you, and just like try to represent the failure, the effort and the failure, not the whatever.
Correct.
Well, that's a perfect anti-answer.
No. Is
there a delay on the video? I saw it. No, there it is. I saw myself. Yeah.
Which also, I mean, the actors stumble on their lines, and there's not that feeling, and that like, kids don't speak perfectly. And
we don't speak perfectly. No one speaks perfectly. Yeah, for sure.
Especially me. But
I mean, but that is, that was. It's just giving kids permission to do that. You know what I mean? Which is just like, just saying like, come as you are, and the worst thing you can do is do this perfectly. And like, we're trying to capture the process of being inarticulate.
Tell us about the electronic music. The music. I don't know. I'm used to the term electronic, but it's capturing her emotions and how she's feeling. Can you tell us about making that decision?
Yeah, I just wanted really visceral sort of music. Sometimes often music about young people. I don't mean to be so comparative or whatever, but it's like, sometimes it's like, oh, it's a little girl in the world, so it should be like mandolins, and like, look at this sweet little thing. It's like, her life is not sweet to her or little to her, so we just tried to do something that's very, I wanted to do something that was visceral and felt and sort of foreground and probably bigger and louder than it should be. And I stumbled on this composer, Anna Meredith, out of Scotland. She's this just genius electronic composer. She's classically trained, but she composes just very strange, compelling, bold music. And it's also like feminine to me in a way that like electronic music can be very, very cold and masculine. So she was able to just sort of bring an energy that felt like Kayla. Yeah, and then Enya.
Elsie, other than the pool party, I love it's so poignant, the scene in the car where she shows this quiet bravery by saying no. Can you tell us about that scene and how important it is to see that moment where this young girl actually says no?
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely not the type of scene you would generally see in a movie, and it's because it's not anything, nothing happened to her in quotation marks, because it is like very much an emotional trauma rather than actual physical trauma. And yeah, I think it's really important that she does say no, and she is the person she is, and she says no, if that makes sense. Because people who stand up in those situations are always portrayed as brave throughout their entire story, or, oh, they stick up for themselves, blah, blah, blah. But Kayla doesn't. She has anxiety. She gets pushed around sometimes. But, for her to say no, I think, is really important because, I don't know, it just shows that no matter who you are, you have the ability to do that. And thankfully, when we weren't filming the scene, it was, I don't know, it didn't feel as intense as it feels on screen. We had 5 people in the car recording, or whatever.
There's 5 camera people also in that car. It's actually it looks like a clown car while we're filming it. Everyone's like, it must have been very intense. I was like, we're trying not to laugh as there was 7 people in the car breathing on each other. It was a nightmare.
Oh my God, I lost my track of thought because about the clown car. Go to my notes. And Kayla, you had just, Elsie, you had just finished 8th grade, and then you jumped into this. Can you tell us what was that like to all of a sudden finish 8th grade and have to relive all of that?
Yeah, I had some pretty bad whiplash from that. I had a week of just, a week-long grace period of free time.
We called every take 1, take 2 because she had done it already the year before.
Exactly. No, thankfully, filming was not as intense or bad as actual 8th grade. But no, I mean, it felt so real to me on set. I mean, we had just an incredible environment that was created, and actual 8th graders playing 8th graders as the kids in the movie. And yeah, I mean, I just tried to, I don't know, draw on my own experience, but my own experience was still kind of happening. So just live my life through someone else, kind of, I guess. But it was very interesting to film something so close to my own life, and just right in the middle of my own personal turmoil. But I think I came out of it very self-aware of 8th grade before any of my peers. Because you just go through it and you're seeing everything within the context of a coherent narrative, but when you're going through it, it's just garbledygook, whatever, crazy, a tornado of puberty and sadness. But it was very nice to reflect on my own craziness and sadness.
There's something I read that I found remarkable. One of the many things I found remarkable about you is that you were an experienced actress. She did the voice for the Despicable movies and McFarlane USA, but then you took time out. You said, I'm not going to do movies for a while. Can you tell us about, why you made that choice?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a lot of factors going on in my life. I mean, I think it's hard to be an actor as a teenager because you're just dealing with so much stuff, and then you have a job also where you're constantly being monitored. So that was not fun for me. And I don't know, I mean, acting is such a wonderful thing, but there are so many factors that need to come together for you to really have a solid career. It's not just hard work and perseverance and talent. It is luck too, because I know so many talented people who, don't have the same opportunities as I do. And I feel like when I was going through even my own 8th grade year, luck was not there up until this movie. And yeah, it was just something I wasn't feel it at the time, I guess. I just wasn't enjoying it because I wasn't working very much. And I don't know, I'd be going on auditions and it'd take me away from school when I could be learning something that was a little more sure than acting. And middle school is a time in your life where they start pressuring you to focus on a career a little bit. You know, 8th grade more so than 6th grade, but yeah, it was just a very intense time. But thankfully, this came along and was like, nope, you're staying in the game, babe. I don't know where that sentence was going.
And Bo, last question for you, and we have to wrap it up. But I've seen this movie, as I mentioned a couple of times, and the first time I saw it with an audience, you know, people were laughing, and I was internally going like, you know, this is a horror film, you know. And then, you know, then I watched it by myself, and I had a completely different experience. I was just wondering, when you were writing and when you were directing, were you aware of the different tones that it was going to have, the different experiences for people watching it?
Yeah, well, no, I just try to pursue, we try to pursue something honest, you know, and truthful to life, and I find life to be incredibly tonally inconsistent, you know what I mean? I might have a, you know, happy morning and a sad afternoon and a horrifying night or something, so... yeah, I mean, I think our experiences are like that. I'm certainly not going like, okay, here comes the funny scene, here comes the, you know. Yeah, I think I'm just trying to service the thing honestly, and then hopefully if it's honest, there's a few ways to see it. I definitely kept the set we kept light. I knew that was important. I knew that it was important that the set feel really light and good and safe for everybody, for the kids especially, so that they felt like we were having a lot of fun making it. And then, yeah, just keep my eye on the thing in the background, you know, when I was going to, you know, maybe I could sneak in like, yeah, then surprise, it's sad, you know, when the crew saw it or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I try not to think too much about tone. Yeah, other than just
well, but
honest.
I mean, when I introduced the film, I told people that I was shocked that this was your first directorial work, because it's remarkable and it's phenomenal, and congratulations to you both for all your success, and
thanks
thank you for being
here.
here.
Thanks for having us, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.